think that another issue is the Oklahoma history course, because one of our required courses is Oklahoma history, and I think it is whitewashed a bit in the sense of how we teach it, or learning about certain issues, especially with Native American history and African American history, because my school briefly went over, for example, the Tulsa Race Massacre, but we didn't get to learn anything in depth about how African Americans had fostered such an amazing community, which was Black Wall Street, and it was an uprising of possible Black millionaires, but it was completely destroyed, and just different. And the genocide of Native Americans, I don't think we touch on that much enough about, especially just we gloss over Manifest Destiny and about how it was the will of God that sent them that way, but we don't talk about the repercussions of how so many Native Americans were murdered. But yeah, I just think that's something that we definitely need to fix.
Thank you, Addison, and thanks for sharing that with us. I do want to mention, if there is any time where there's a student that has an issue related to that kind of discrimination, that you can report that to the State Department of Education. We can help with working with the school to ensure that they have the materials needed, the right way to thoroughly investigate and make sure that does not stand.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Azari, and I'm from class in SES representing Oklahoma City Public Schools. So I wanted to piggyback off of Addison's point, and so it's both a question and a challenge. So almost a year ago, the state board banned critical race theory, and I feel it wasn't a step in the right direction, in my opinion. So the mayor mentioned that it divides us, but as a person of color, I find it culturally empowering to learn more about my people and the history of others, of course. And personally, as an African-American, my ancestry only dates back to the antebellum period, which we learned in school. So banning such was just where else will I learn my history, you know? And also you have all these kids out of school for Martin Luther King Day, but if we don't learn what exactly went down with Martin Luther King, how are we out of school, and how is it empowering? Also, I would like to add that Oklahoma was a prominent land for the Trail of Tears. So it's just that is also involved in the critical race theory. So let's see. So I think it was the critical race theory, in my opinion, was more empowering than it was dividing. And I just wanted to know what was the common grounds, what was agreed upon when banning the topic. If you can answer that for me, please.
Yeah, so it's really important, as you described, that our students all learn history. And the Oklahoma Academic Standards, actually for the first time in the last few years, included an explicit directive to all schools that they do teach the Oklahoma history related to tribal sovereignty, and also the truth about the Tulsa Race Massacre. At the time, it was called the Tulsa Race Riot. That has been changed in the Tulsa Race Massacre Commission. And that's something that has to continue. We have to be updating the way we talk about things. And so this is a continuous improvement process, and one that we continue to strive to do better. I think there's a distinction that we need to make between laws that are passed, and those are not necessarily something that anyone in schools actually are able to influence unless they make their voices heard with their legislators that represent them at the state capitol. And so that did occur. However, the state clearly still has the authority to, in all schools, teach history and teach the standards and teach those elements that are very difficult sometimes to talk about. And we also need to hear and be reminded from students like you of how important it is for you to ensure you have that space to learn and discuss what's happened in the past and how we learn from it for the future. Thanks for bringing that up.
De nada.
For more information, you can visit tulsaworld.com.